My name is Joel, and this is Jacob.
Hi.
And we're here to talk about Jacob and how he's using Fan.si in his music endeavors. And yeah, we're just. I've known Jacob for a long time. How long? We met.
Ooh, now we're getting into some detail. I think it was in the 90s for sure. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
right?
99, I think.
Yeah, 99, sure.
Yeah, you were playing on a TV
Capstone
show.
was happening.
Yeah, I was still in a band.
You were fronting Capstone, and you guys were, I think you were signed or something like that. And I remember seeing you. Paul Morris may or may not have been managing you. I don't know. It was a very long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't even remember half of that stuff. So
Okay.
thank you for bringing that past up for me. Yeah. The thing. So when we created Fan.si, the idea was that we were going to have people like you on it. Like, it was really intended for artists who are constantly playing, who want to make a career of music, and are willing to basically do anything to make music their lifestyle, the thing that they're doing. And I could probably say there are a few artists who've done that as successfully as you have, that I know personally. I mean, there are many in the world,
Sure.
but certainly you're one of the ones that have done that successfully. So tell us about what style you play. Like, what is it that you do as an artist?
I'm a singer-songwriter. I mean, I'm influenced by the troubadours of the 70s, people like Joni Mitchell, Paul Simon, James Taylor, but I have an interest in a lot of different styles of music, like they did.
Right.
So it's kind of eclectic, and so it kind of jumps around between gospel and rock and blues and folk and everything in between. And but it's really, at its heart, it's like an acoustic guitar and a voice and a point of view. You know what I mean? And that's kind of my thing.
My favorite stuff too, to be honest.
Yeah.
So the settings that you're in, generally,
it's all over the place, man. It's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah. So I could be doing festivals. I could be doing theaters. I could be doing house concerts.
Yeah.
I could be doing
sometimes with a band, sometimes without.
Yeah, I sort of put a band together this year actually, for the first time in a while, and to tour my new record. But I'm a solo guy. I really enjoy being on the road, just by myself. You know, and it makes sense. If you ever want to feed a family with music, then I think doing it solo is probably the right way to go.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot less bodies to take care of as well.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's a big country too, right? Canada's where I live, so Canada's a big place to tour, and if you're gonna put guys on the road, there goes your profit margin.
12 hours between cities.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas in the States, if you're listening to this in the United States, I mean, you guys have the luxury of every couple hours you probably bump into a major metropolis of some kind of market
Totally.
that you can play. And technically, yes, if you drive every couple hours, you get a market here in Canada. But is really a Sioux Falls or Sioux Lookout.
It is
that
a
really
market.
per
It's
se?
kind of like not quite a supermarket.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of
It's
like
a farmer's
local
market. Yes, what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How long ago did you first hear about Fan.si and what we were trying to do?
Well, so that would have been from you because we met for breakfast, like a year and a half ago or something like that, and you were like, "I'm thinking about this thing," and you weren't even. It wasn't like I've had meetings where I've heard people talk about, or I've even talked about ideas, and it was really on a napkin. Like it really wasn't an idea yet.
It totally was.
Whereas I could tell from talking to you that it may be on a napkin somewhere, but you were actually deadly serious about it, and that this was something that you were going to do. Like you had already done the mouse hunts, which was an incredible success for you. And I thought, well, this is a guy who actually knows how to get this done. If he actually, puts his mind to it, I think it's going to happen. So I was really excited, and I was, and so the fact that it took that long for me to. It was really good, and the fact that it took that long for me to actually get involved in the process was excruciating for me. I just have to tell you. I mean, every minute you delayed it was just too long for me. I just needed it sooner.
Pent-up demand, folks.
That's what it is.
That's how you sell a product.
Yeah.
No. Exactly. So I mean, I think now is probably a good time to segue into like, what is it? What does it do? Yeah. So I'll do that.
Do it.
And basically, what we've built is a platform for artists to connect directly with their fans and allow their fans to pay them monthly for the content that they make, for access to their lives, for perks that they might get, like the music or downloads or tickets ahead of time, or basically whatever the artist decides they want to provide to their fans. So really the problem that we're trying to solve is, and no one really talks about it, but the regular revenue of artists. That thing that is the stable income of just my, everyone takes this for granted in the regular world, where it's like every 2 weeks I get a paycheck, and that whole thing doesn't exist or hasn't existed in a really good way for artists that I can think of.
I mean, for any entrepreneur, maybe. I don't know. Like, if you're out there, you're running any kind of small business, you know that the money comes in at weird times, and there's no real, rhyme or reason to it sometimes.
Yeah, and for sure. And those people who are, I would argue, those people who are super successful artists either get through that hump really quickly, and they make enough money to be able to spread it over time, or they're really good business people who are just good at understanding where their revenue is and where their expenditures are. And so we wanted to kind of even the playing field a little bit for artists by allowing them the money to come in regularly from fans. The theory is that if you're a good artist and you connect with fans, then there's a percentage of those fans who will just back you because they love you. It's not because of anything else. They love you. They believe in you, and this kind of scales up really well from small artists who are in their hometowns and have small little engaged crowds, all the way up to superstars who are, multi-platinum selling artists. The people who get behind you because they believe in what you're doing, right? It's true of you too. It's true of Jacob Moon.
Well, yeah, there's all kinds of different kinds of fans. You got basically your family and friends who have to come out to see you, and you got your casual fans who've heard you before on the radio or on the internet, and you got your super fans who want to know. As I got a question online the other day, what makes you ticklish? These are super fans. They really want to know everything. You know what I mean? So, maybe too much sometimes, but they want to connect in a deeper way, and this is an opportunity.
That is a deeper way.
It is certainly very personal, but this is a more like engaged way of getting people to really welcome them into your life, into your music, into making decisions about your music, what you're going to release, how you're going to do it, and kind of crowdsourcing the income to get it done, but also crowdsourcing the polling people, if you will, who are in your most inner circle. What should happen next in your musical career, which is kind of an exciting way to go.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that quick feedback loop is a huge bonus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Having the ability to maybe write a song idea that your small, intimate group of fans, the biggest fans, might be able to see first, and then give you some quick kind of feedback. Because ultimately, we're in front of people all the time as artists, and it's really important to know, hey, will this work? Will this not work? So I guess the next question. So that's Fan.si in a nutshell. Yeah. Kind of we're trying to help solve the problem.
And it's a website as well. I mean, it's not just like you're getting money tacitly from fans. They're actually connecting with you in a visible way, and they can see the comments from other fans.
Right, I should mention that. Thanks for the good segue.
It's an important.
There's you can basically share any content, or we're trying to make any content that's available on the web through normal workflows like Instagram, Vimeo, YouTube, SoundCloud. All of these different services we aggregate into or allow artists to place that content into the feed for their fans, for the paying fans. Yeah. And that makes it a lot easier for artists to keep working with the tools that they're currently working with, and kind of provide one place where exclusive content and content from the web can kind of be found in kind of the artist feed. So that's one of the many features we have, but that's the solid one. That's kind of the central one.
Yeah, and it's probably the one that's going to see the most change and innovation over the years too, right?
Agreed.
It's just that. Well, I mean, you can also talk about how even just the gathering of fans' support is the mechanism for doing that is changing too, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're constantly in an iterative process with any one of the features, but the newsfeed in particular. So for instance, right now we have live commenting. I'm not sure if you even knew about that, but basically you could post something like this YouTube video or a Vimeo video or any base of content or Instagram pic or whatever, and then underneath the commenting is live. So as people comment, there's no refreshing on the page. It's really like a live chatting system.
Yes.
And we did that for one artist, and he was blown away at how well it worked. And then so there's a lot of work that we want to do. We developed that feature in 2 days just to see if it would work. and the demand was really great, and we saw 150 people in a chat room at once, and it was just like, oh my goodness,
wow.
so many people joining in on the conversations. And so those are the kinds of things we want to build, useful tools that fans will get something out of, that artists will get something out of, and that we can actually mold and make better over time.
That's interesting. Now, what about a Ustream window that would happen right there?
That's actually it's kind of what we're doing right now.
We're doing it right now, but I mean, with the fans on the Fan.si site.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
We're doing it right now?
As in, this link on YouTube goes into the Fan.si Artists Network page.
Yes.
And all of the artists on Fan.si are on this group called the Fan.si Artists Network. And if they go to this piece of content, there's the video, which they can see live, and then they're commenting on it as we go. Like, I don't know, I haven't seen it.
We're just telling you what you already know. We're finally just catching up with what's happening here. That's what's happening here. Pardon me.
I'm involving Jacob in kind of like the
so
stuff
much.
that's happening. There are a lot. We have a lot of things in motion, Jacob. Lots. We're taking over the world.
But these folks would love to know about it too. You told me about a little thing that you could plug into your phone.
Yeah.
Would be able to gather fans' payment information, so they wouldn't have to do that thing on the iPad, you know, and whatever.
Actually, you stay here for a second.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stay right here.
I'm gonna get the dongle. This is what we're calling it, the dongle.
Joel is gonna be back with a dongle. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Here it is.
So basically, you just take your iPad or your. This is the Galaxy S. No, it isn't. It's not. It's the Nexus 7. And there's a little app for artists to be able to take payment right there on their right. So you can just like charge a fan right at the merch table for a membership to your fan club or to whatever you want to call this the support model that you're using. But yeah, then swipe the card and the information makes it onto your tablet and start support, and right there at live shows.
Phenomenal.
Artists. Fans.
What's the ETA of that particular device?
It's actually in the store right now, in the Google Play App Store. So if you had a tablet like this, and we gave you one of these, which we're planning to do today. Prize for Jacob.
Yes.
You can actually
You'll get one soon. Don't worry.
You can actually do this at
borrow mine on
table.
Wednesdays and Thursdays if you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're working on the broadest base of devices that is kind of in adoption out in the world. So for instance, it doesn't work for all 1,373 Android devices. It works for 2 Android.
Does it work for iPads?
Not yet. But Jack, who's our CTO, is working on that as we speak.
Okay.
So there is that development is in play.
Yeah.
And we really are constantly developing new things. So anything can happen in a moment's notice with any development.
Cool.
That's from my end. That's the thing that's the most challenging about developing this business, is that it's really hard to keep people up to date with what's going on.
Right. It's a beehive of activities.
It really is.
You guys are constantly working. Well, that's good. That's what we want to hear as artists. So that's good.
So that's kind of where we're at. I wanted to make sure that I asked you. So you hear about Fan.si.
Yeah.
We talk about it over a couple breakfasts. And I've made this commitment to try to be in touch with kind of the artists that I know will be using the platform a lot to get feedback and to understand where their issues are. I don't want to just talk about. I hate it when services make sales pitches and are just like, hey, you should sign up to our service because it's great, and no one really knows about the flaws. What are your biggest concerns about Fan.si, challenges with Fan.si right now?
What are the biggest challenges? At this point, I think it's probably I'm trying to think of. I think this answers one of the concerns, which was that I was like, I've had a few instances at tables where there's been about 3 or 4 people who want to kind of sign up right away, and the average time for a sign up was kind of like 4 minutes or something like that. So it was a little long because people aren't really that used to. People who don't have a tablet are kind of a little bit awkward with the entering things into the fields.
Totally.
And so that was kind of an issue. This answers that, which is great. And it's been the feed has been something that I'm excited to hear that there's more things happening with the feed, because I think that the commenting so that people could see what other people have said so it's not all nested underneath
Yeah,
post,
yeah.
but it's there and it's visible. I mean, it's cleaner if it's all nested. I get that, but it's great if people can see that there's activity.
Yeah.
If it just looks like a bunch of posts, it looks like a bunch of one-way communication.
Yeah,
from the
more
artist.
like a broadcast than an actual interaction.
That's right. So we want it to be less of a rhetorical device and more of like a real community. Sort of news. Kind of a community forum essentially of fans, right? So that's kind of what I want to see more of, and I'm trying to find ways of also posting. I'm still unsure about how often to post because I know people get an email every time I post something, and so when you get an email every time something happens on Facebook, for example, it's really irritating. So a long time ago, people who have used Facebook for any length of time have learned that you can turn off those notifications. For sure. Yeah. So I think maybe there's probably got to be a way for us to be able to turn off the notifications within the account. So that's something that
we have planned solutions for those things.
Yeah.
But there's also this sense in us that those people who are like you, who actually comment the most, who are putting a lot of content out, and whose fan bases get regular emails, are actually losing the least amount of members. So,
Interesting. Okay.
So for instance, your churn rate, which is like the loss of membership over a month period of time, is very, very low. Very low. And you happen to be one of the more active artists on the platform.
Well, I post about 3 or 4 times a week.
Yep.
Tops.
Yep.
I don't go every day.
Yep.
And I would go every day if we could turn the notification off but if I get an email every time Kevin Max posts something, I'm irritated.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. I
like Kevin Max. I like his music. I want to check him out. I do want to know what he's doing. But you have to, as I said before, there's super fans.
Yeah.
There's casual fans.
Absolutely.
There's family and friends.
Yep.
And they're all on your thing.
So you're thinking controls for email. That's,
exactly.
That's something that every user should have.
That's right. So that it's apparent to them.
Killer.
Yeah.
We'll make note of that, and make sure it gets in the process somewhere.
Awesome.
It's hard to do well. Just gonna put it out there. It's hard to do well. Okay. So yes, you're a Fan.si member. You go out and you do this thing. How convinced were you that people were actually going to sign up for this thing?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I think when I first put it out there, the real key was having a compelling video that would really properly announce it, because I think it has to be the importance and the significance of what Fan.si is as a platform, as a way of doing business for artists, can't be overstated. I don't think. Like, I think you have to really come out and say to your fans, like, this is a big deal. For a long time, we've been languishing under a model that has favored major labels and people aspiring to be on major labels as a way of validating their careers. And that model really has not has not survived well with the passage of time and with the changes economically that we've seen, right? And so what we're seeing more and more of is independent artists addressing their tribe, because big media has kind of fallen, and it's all the interest in music is kind of splintered off into genre tribes, as if you were, and then within those genre tribes, there's kind of like tribe leaders, and those are the artists, and it really it's really up to us to tell our people, our tribe, whoever you are, whatever stage you're at as an artist, you've got a certain number of people who are interested in what you're doing, and you're always trying to grow that, and you're always trying to deepen that. And there's, I don't think there's any better way to deepen it, certainly, than to invite them to join Fan.si, and to do it in a way that really expresses the value that they're getting from being on the platform. Because if you look at it, I mean, you get a free download, and that's your hello, that's your welcome into the club. Now you can see the feed. Now you can kind of be a part of the conversation, and you got a free song. Pretty good deal, right? Once you're in there, you can kind of see how it's working, and that there's maybe some posts that are valuable that you're not able to see at the free level, and you start to kind of think like, wow, I wonder what would happen if I did give. And so there's people who want they join for free and they give later, and there's people who give now, and I've seen that. When I first launched it, it was really, really successful. In the first week or so, I saw a large percentage of the signups that I have now sign up, and it's been a steady. And this is the difficult part as an artist, is that you've got to, every gig, you've got to really find a way to afresh, address your audience with this message. And many of them will have no idea about it. Will have never heard about it. Like this, in a way, it stands alone. People have heard of Patreon. People have heard of some other models for artists to make money doing what they're doing, but nothing like this, I don't think. And so it really has to be unpacked for people, but unpacked at the right time.
Agreed, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if you've ever seen somebody do this at a show, you know that there's probably a wrong time to mention it.
For sure.
And there's a right time to mention it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get into all that now, but maybe that's, do you want to?
Actually, okay. I think we should talk about the most effective things that you've done, actions you've taken, or places you've placed your table, or things that you've done that have made it so that you've seen people sign up to your fan club.
Yeah, for sure. So it's really, you've got a few different ways of getting to people with this message. One is online, and that's from promoting it to Facebook, to Twitter, all those things, and coming up with good stories. You know what I mean? Good stories and educating the audience in some ways. Before I even launched on Fan.si, I started kind of seeding my homepage with stories about how like the one that I sent to you about how it's the average musician in Canada makes about $7,000 or $8,000 a year.
It's
the
crazy.
Average. So there's all these people under it, and then there's a few under it. It's like, what? That's where it landed, with 7,000 or 8,000. Okay, like, I mean, that's pretty desperate.
For sure.
And that's so to find to make sure that people know that that the average person, to make minimum wage as a musician by selling records or selling songs on Spotify or whatever, you know what I mean, which is like fractions of a penny, as you know, if you sell them there. It's really, really challenging, and you have to kind of really, if this has to answer a problem in a way in order for it to be like truly compelling for your fans to get involved in. And if they can't sort of see that, then sometimes they might not join in. But people join in for a variety of reasons. This is also what I've realized from doing it, from pitching it online, from pitching it with my email newsletter, which I'm sure many of you have. You send out a news blast every once in a while. So really just trying to direct traffic back to Fan.si.
Yep.
From whatever you're doing. That's a key. So before you even step on a stage, there's all kinds of stuff that you can do.
Yeah, totally.
And, right? So
in fact, we have artists who have never stepped on a stage.
Fair enough.
Who have incredible support from their fans.
Yeah.
Just getting ready to get out there.
Right. And that's key. And sometimes so I'll just give you a brief example. I have two little boys, and the two little boys are adopted. And people who know my story and know my music and stuff, they maybe have seen this story before. But what they didn't know is that we've been waiting for 3.5 years for their little sister to join our family. And so it was this crazy story. And so I had this whole story to tell, but because of the sensitive nature of the story and the fact that she's adopted, and it's kind of a closed adoption, it's kind of like we want to keep it on the DL a little bit. Like we didn't want to just protect her. And so we didn't want to splash it all over the interwebs. So we just thought, what we'll do, we'll host the story on Fan.si, because at least there's a bit of a gate there, and there's a bit, people who are in. Yeah. And they're not going to be indiscreet about it. So I decided to post it there. But then in my newsletter, I said, if you want to, I gave him a teaser.
Right.
So it's a bit of link bait in a way.
This is great.
Right? Which you have to do, and obviously, I'm not BuzzFeed or anything, but I did have to kind of put a little thing in there. I was like, okay, if you want to read more, click this link.
Yeah, totally.
Which then they click the link, and they're like, I can't get in. It's like, oh, but I can sign up for free. Okay, now I'm on. Great, this is great. And I get a free song. All right, and I can read the story and see the pictures. And I think a couple hundred people did that in one day.
Yeah.
That joined the site for free. And the goal is, of course, to make those people translate into
long-term revenue,
long-term partners. You know what I mean, with what I'm doing. So that's just all online. Now you go to the show, and it's a whole other ball of wax. And so I'm just getting, again, this is just my early, findings from trying this out live. But I've discovered that the key sweet spot is talking about it in detail at the end of your show.
Okay.
Yeah, and I talked to Matt Grieve, who works here at Fan.si, about this early on, and he he indicated that was probably a good way to start. And he's absolutely right. I think when people come to a show, they're not expecting a sales pitch.
Yep.
They're expecting a concert, and that's what they should get.
Yep.
Shouldn't disappoint them that way. You should give them your concert. You should sell them with your music. Sell them. You should make them. You should bring them into the fold with your music.
Make them fans.
Make them fans. Make them friends. Befriend your audience. Do that first.
Totally.
Then, at the end of your show, literally maybe in the encore of your show. So it almost seems like a bit of an afterthought. Almost seems like it's a thing that might not have happened.
Yep.
Of course, you got to kill with your show so that you can get the encore. But if you know that maybe it's a bit of a tough crowd, whatever you're playing in Mennonite country, whatever it is, you can maybe at the end of the whole thing, the last song, you can kind of talk about your what it is that Fan.si is.
Yep.
You can talk about the fact that you do this for a living. You're the breadwinner of your family, if that's the case.
Yep.
And it's really a way for what my pitch is usually like. I do this for a living. I support my 3 kids. My wife stays home with them. I'm out here. I love to do it. I love to make new music, but making new music is difficult. It's a difficult climate economically to be an artist these days. People just expect that music is free.
For sure.
And so it's tough to kind of, to make a living at it. So what I want to do is I want to partner with you guys, my fans, for, to kind of create a way for us to make this music together. And if you join me as a partner, I want to open the keys to the kingdom. I want to give you all the music that I've ever made and all the music that I'm going to make.
Yeah.
And so that's my offer to them. And I say for as little as $5 a month, you can join my partner program, and that gives you all of my music. And of course, the way that I do it is a little unique. So I actually use a little thing that I bought in China. A little guitar USB.
Just on a side note, Alibaba is about to do an IPO, but go ahead. Yeah.
Is she? Are they? Check it out.
They don't need any extra advertising.
Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. I didn't really know Alibaba at all until I looked at this thing, but this is where it is. You get it from China, and it's like, there you go. USB key with, and I even branded it on the back.
It's a little guitar, yeah.
So I have a branding iron that I bought that I can brand this thing. So it's pretty funny.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, so all my music is preloaded on this thing, and I will mention this in the first set.
Yeah.
At the end of the first set, I'll say, okay, so I have these little guitars. Check them out. They've got all the music that I've ever made loaded on them. 9 CDs worth of music plus rarities, singles, demos. It's all there. If you want to know how to get it, come and talk to me at the table.
Yeah, and you even use it in your video. Your intro video on your profile page.
That's right.
Yeah. So I want to make sure I mention that your URL on Fan.si is fan.si/Jacob. We're almost at the end, and I'm just gonna say, would you be okay with playing a chorus of a song?
Right now?
Yeah.
Right now, absolutely.
I have a guitar tuned, ready to go.
You got a guitar tuned, ready to go.
Yeah.
It's early in the morning, folks, just so you know. Most musicians don't know there's 2 9 o'clocks in the same day. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to sing. That's an excellent question.
That's why I'm asking for just a chorus.
Just a chorus. I'd be happy to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get the guitar. I'm such a jerk, I know.
Look at this. Is this the Santa Cruz?
This is the Santa Cruz.
Wow. Not the Santa Cruz, but
the D tune down.
Okay, well, that's all right. I can work with that.
Okay.
I'm going down, way down deep, below the waves of agony, where my sorrows can't find me. I'm going down, way down deep.
Oh, man.
There you go.
Okay. Thank you.
My pleasure. So it's nice to kind of go deep on this stuff, and I'd love to talk more about it too. I don't know if we talked about maybe doing a little snippet, a little bit extra detail.
Yeah, we're gonna.
If you want to go deeper, way down
and
deep.
we'll place the link in the more info on both the Fan.si Artist Network page and on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So that you can get the link to that deeper dive.